Hello, everybody. All right. So, welcome to the Mikestand. Today is, of course, Tuesday, February the 18th, 2025. We're just going to give people a chance to come in before we get started. So, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here we talk about tonight grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, uh, anyways, a lot, yeah, la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Let me see. Let's see. Oh, hopefully everybody's having a good week thus far. As we're early on into the third week here of February. Of course, now everybody today probably was back to school and back to work and all that. Consider we had the um, President's Day observance yesterday here in the States. So, and let's see, we're at about 2.5 minutes here. Just giving it a few more, about 30 seconds more um, before we talk about what's on tap for tonight. Just checking on the road. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Hmm. Shattered the land that never before. Total destruction from Mount. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. All right. Well, anyways. All right. So now, with all that being said and done, now, um, why don't we go ahead and let's see. Yeah, four seven. So here's what's on tap tonight. I have three stories I'm gonna go over. One each from uh that Park Place. Um, that Park Place. Um, also, Me TV Tunes, and then also Bounding into Cons. We got a couple comic related stories and a cartoon story. So the first story we're going to cover is apparently there's some Rippaverse news. Somebody's being added to the team, I guess. We'll look at that. Also, um, former Hanna Barbera animator Jerry Eisenberg passed away recently. We're going to be looking at that story. And then also Marvel's come out with with a revelation that we'll be looking at as well. So actually, before I do get into that, I'm going to go off camera here for a quick moment just to take care of something real quick here. Sometimes the lighting here can trick you, so I'll be right back. So I'm in Southern California, right? So, and of course we start the show around 5 here. So we're kind of now in that point. We're getting closer and closer to, of course, springing forward basically. So the sun is staying out a little longer now. So it's like, now I'm kind of caught in that trap of, okay, do I turn my light in my room on before I start my show, or do I wait a bit because right before 5 and right around 5 it's still pretty sunny, and then all of a sudden, now granted, it's not like super dark. It's not even dimming too much yet, but it's dimming enough to where, so it's like that tricky spot, But with that being said, with that being said, why don't we go ahead and get started then. Let me pull up the first article here, and we'll get right into that. All right, so Riververse adds Angel Studios as new collaborator with announcement of, quote, Gabriel and the Guardians, unquote, partnership. Article published yesterday by WDW Pro. All right, so let's get into this. In the comic book industry, one name is becoming more and more known with each passing month. Riververse has established itself as more than an independent startup flash in the pan. Instead, it is looking like the creation of one Eric July is on a path to revolutionize the comic book industry and perhaps beyond. Now, I know from what little I've heard, I think some people might dispute that, but let's see what this particular writer has to say about it. Angel Studios is now partnering with Rippaverse to publish Gabriel and the Guardians, a manga animated series that focuses on Hebrew mythology for its lore and world building. The effort has already exceeded expectations, with more than $500,000 raised just by eager fans alone to see the work of fiction brought to life. Now, granted, even before he decided to get into comics, Eric July, as of course as young Rippa, was a big YouTube name, and I think he still is. Obviously, I think he's even so he's got a lot more mainstream appeal than a lot of people realize. But anyways, with that, let's see. Riververse Comics is an independent comic book publishing company founded in 2022 by Eric July, a musician, YouTuber, and libertarian political commentator. The company aims to provide an alternative to mainstream comic publishers by focusing on creative independence, respecting lore and continuity, and delivering stories that resonate with traditional comic book enthusiasts. Of course, Eric's not the only one. We know Comicsgate, and we know like Ethan Van Sciver's done that as well. A number of older comic pros have come out and done that as well. Chuck Dixon, Mike Barron, to name a couple. So the Riververse universe introduces a diverse array of characters and narratives. Its debut comic series, Isom, um, centers on Avery Silman, a rancher who once operated as a hero under the moniker Isom in the city of Florspark, Texas. After stepping away from his heroic life, Avery is drawn back into action following a call from his sister, leading to a series of violent encounters that make him reconsider his path. Since its inception, Riververse Comics has expanded its catalog to include titles such as Alpha Core and Yaira, with contributions from various creators, including industry-renowned Chuck Dixon of DC fame, in parentheses, and yes, this author's studio has the full Dixon run of Robin comics as a mural on his wall, unparentheses. The company emphasizes creator ownership and consumer-driven storytelling, positioning itself as an alternative to mainstream publishers. Meanwhile, Angel Studios is a film and television production and distribution company that operates on a unique crowdfunding model, allowing audiences to invest in and support projects they want to see made. The company is known for producing and distributing faith-based, family-friendly, and inspirational content. They are most well known for the Chosen, as well as The Sound of Freedom. All right, so that's all of that. That one went kind of quickly. And again, if you guys haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Let me just try one more time here. Anyway, let me just. I can stir up a few more people to see if I can get some people to engage. Anyways, now we'll move on to the next article. We're going to move over to MeTV Tunes, as it was reported by them that former Hanna-Barbera animator Jerry Eisenberg passed away at the age of 57. Oh, we got another article. We'll probably. All right, so we might actually do two of these then, along with the other one that we had. All right, so let's get into this. R.I.P. Jerry Eisenberg, animator of Peter Potamus, Wacky Races, and other Hanna-Barbera classics. The cartoonist behind Peter Potamus, Wacky Races, and The Jetsons will be dearly missed. He was 87 years old. Article published yesterday by MeTV Toon staff. All right, so and there's of course Peter Potamus and his blimp. A scene taken from the from the opening of the Peter Potamus show there. So let's get into this. Jerry Eisenberg passed away on February 11th, 2025, so a week ago. Eisenberg was a celebrated animator, writer, producer, character designer, and storyboard artist on many classic Saturday morning cartoons, which Hanna-Barbera did quite a few, stemming from when they first became a studio back in 1957 all the way into the 80s and into the early 90s even. Eisenberg was a second-generation cartoonist. His father, Harvey Eisenberg, was an animator on the original Tom and Jerry series, another MGM cartoon. So that's interesting. You have father and son who both basically worked for William Hanna and Joe Barbera, as Hanna-Barbera were the ones who were also the key directors on Tom and Jerry as well. Eisenberg left school in 1956 to join his father at MGM as an in-betweener on the Droopy cartoons. The studio shut down 7 months after Eisenberg joined, but he moved on to Warner Brothers cartoons, and then later Hanna-Barbera Productions. At Hanna-Barbera, Eisenberg thrived as a creative. He co-created the Peter Potamus show and led character design for Wacky Races and Super Friends. He also designed layouts for other classic Hanna-Barbera shows, including The Jetsons, The Huckleberry Hound Show, Johnny Quest, and Wacky Races. According to his friend and cartoon writer Mark Evener, quote, there wasn't a single Hanna-Barbera production done between 1961 and 1977 that didn't have characters in it designed by Jerry, unquote. After 16 years at Hanna-Barbera, Eisenberg joined fellow Hanna-Barbera alumni Joe Ruby and Ken Spears at their new studio, Ruby Spears Productions. There, he worked as a character designer and producer for Fangface, Plastic Man, and Thundar the Barbarian. Other cartoons he worked on for other studios include Muppet Babies, House of Mouse, Dilbert, My Little Pony, Johnny Bravo, and Tom and Jerry Kids. He also worked on many of the direct-to-video Scooby-Doo movies. He is remembered by Evener as, quote, a truly great cartoonist and a hell of a nice guy, one of the fastest artists I've ever seen, and one of the nicest, jolliest guys, unquote. All right, so it looks like that's all for that. So what I want to do now, of course, I do want to do, since we're talking about somebody did pass, I want to go ahead and do a moment of silence for him to honor him, remember him. If you guys want to think about some of your favorite Hanna-Barbera cartoons that you grew up watching, and share that in the chat in a moment after we've done the silence. I invite you guys to do that. So, anyways, we're gonna go ahead and do a moment of silence right now, and then we'll get back. Then we'll get on to another article here. All right. Now with that done, let's go ahead and move on to the next art. And this is one that must have just been added since I chose my articles earlier, but I decided to add this right now anyways, just knowing that some of this stuff can sometimes go pretty quick. All right, so we're at the 20-minute mark right now. Nobody wanted Hanna-Barbera to make Tom and Jerry. Puss Gets the Boot got the green light. Article published today by MeTV2 staff. So, before Bill Hanna and Joe Barbera were the kings of the Saturday morning cartoon, they were two animators who wanted to make a name for themselves, and their first project together was an ancestor to Tom and Jerry cartoons. February 20th is the anniversary of Puss Gets the Boot, the prototype for Tom and Jerry, but in this cartoon, their names were Jasper and Jinx. The year was 1939, and MGM's animation department was floundering. They had struggled to find real leadership for the animation department and a real hit cartoon. Now, mind you, this is towards the end of Hugh Harman and Rudolph Ising's tenure there, as they went to MGM and towards the end of 1934 after having worked at Warner Brothers at Leon Schlesinger Studios doing the Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies cartoons before going to MGM and towards the end of 1934. So, let's see. Having gone through several managing producers in their tenure, the environment was tense, and Hanna-Barbera were worried. The two colleagues' desks were across from each other, and they knew knew they would make a great team. Convinced it was their last chance to make something together, Hanna-Barbera set off making a cat and mouse cartoon. Not a single person supported the idea. Barbera recalled the reaction of his colleagues. Quote, "We were greeted with a universal chorus of jeers and raspberries." Oh boy. A cat and a mouse. How unoriginal can you get? Now, granted, there were a lot of cat and mice type cartoons. You had some adaptations of the Three Little Kittens cartoons, of course, among other things. So, so there were a few out there actually. And how much variety can you milk out of such a hackneyed shop-worn idea? How many cat and mouse cartoons can you make? Actually, they ended up making quite a few over the next 3 decades or so. The two animators were unsupported, but not stopped. They quickly got to work on Puss Gets the Boot. With very limited resources, the duo had to experiment, and this led to the creation of a method they would later use at their own studio, Limited Animation. While not getting too technical, Limited Animation meant that they could create a cartoon with 1,800 individual drawings versus the 13,000 or more most cartoons required at the time. They also used camera movements so they could animate less and get the cartoons done faster, like smacking the camera. Whenever the cat ran into a wall, to quote unquote shake the house. Yeah, we've all seen that, right? Where Tom will bang into something and you go, ugh. So the result of these innovations was a finished cartoon before anyone really noticed that Hanna-Barbera were off doing their own thing. Finishing the cartoon, they presented a preview to the MGM higher brass, which Hanna described as, quote, when Quimby and his staff entered the projection room, they looked more than a little dubious over whether this thing might go over. A few minutes later, however, the room was literally rocking with laughter as the clattering film in the moviola spun out a series of frantic chases and mysterious antics of two precocious characters that we hoped might prove to be a winning cartoon duo for MGM, unquote. The duo was given the green light to complete the cartoon, but it wasn't given any special fanfare. Rather, as Joe Barbera puts it, quote, it was just dumped in theaters, unquote. Hey, Ned Surrey. Just doing an article on some classic cartoons here on how apparently when William Hanna and Joseph Barbera first presented the idea of doing the Tom and Jerry cartoons to MGM, people at MGM were less than enthused at the idea, not thinking too highly of it, but they made it work. So, anyways, if you haven't already, if you can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. So, anyways, continuing on with the article here. Puss Gets the Boot turned out to be wildly popular and was even nominated for an Academy Award. It was a hit, running for weeks at the theaters, and was considered the most successful MGM cartoon so far. Despite the success, Hanna-Barbera were instructed to not make any more Tom and Jerry cartoons. Quimby did not want to put all the eggs in one basket, to which Barbera later reflected, quote, before Puss Gets the Boot, MGM hadn't had a single good egg to put on into any basket, unquote. So Hanna and Barbera continued to work together, but on other cartoons, which all flopped. What brought Tom and Jerry back to life was the fans, especially Bessa Short, a Texas theater exhibitor. Short wrote to Quimby, quote, when are we going to see more of those charming cat and mouse cartoons, unquote. Finally, Quimby changed his tune and asked Hanna-Barbera to make more Tom and Jerry cartoons. And as they say, the rest is history, right? Because you can watch the Tom and Jerry show on MeTV Tunes weekdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 Central, 1 Pacific. Saturdays at 4 p.m. 3 Central, 1 Pacific, and Sundays at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 Central, 6 a.m. Pacific. So you can get all your Tom and Jerry, All right. So, anyways, getting ready to move on to the next article here. Go on to bounding into cons. The last article we're going to do for tonight. kind of a revelation here made by Marvel Comics that we will be looking at. So, Marvel Comics exec editor confirms publisher's current quote-unquote purpose is to develop, quote, new ideas and new stories that can serve as creative fodder for eventual film and animation development, unquote. So basically, they're utilizing their comics now to lay the groundwork for film and TV projects. Article by Spencer McCulley published earlier today. So let's get into this. In a sad, if not expected, moment for the artistic integrity of the overall medium, Marvel Comics executive editor Tom Brevoort has finally confirmed fans' long-held assumption and fear, in parentheses there, that the publisher's operations now exist primarily to serve as a quote-unquote content farm for Marvel Studios' television and film ambitions. Brevoort, who also serves as the publisher's senior vice president of publishing and oversees its X-Men line, provided this insight into the company's current direction while answering fan questions on the February 9th entry of his personal Man with a Hat Substack blog. That week, a reader prompted by the recent building of Lego's new X Mansion set inquired with the editor as to if there was any particular reason that he and the rest of the X office declined to take any aesthetic inspiration from the team's X-Men the Animated Series X-Men 97 era for their recent quote-unquote From the Ashes editorial relaunch, particularly given that this version of Marvel's Merry Band of Mutants holds, quote, the most mainstream recognition, unquote. Let's see. We got some people. Hey, Edwin. Hail, Edwin. Thanks for dropping in. If you can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, that being said, in turn, the editor explained, quote, X-Men 97 and that Lego X Mansion, in brackets, are based on the X-Men of a particular era. An era that fans were very vocally afraid things would be shifting back to when the progressive Krakoa era had run its course. But the purpose of Marvel Publishing is to be out in front, the tip of the spear, generating new ideas and new stories that can serve as creative fodder for eventual film and animation adaptation. So instead of coming out with any original ideas, they're just trying to be, as some people argue, a content farm. So don't know how you guys feel about that, but that does sound kind of a little lazy to me. Don't know how you guys feel about that though. And anyways, as we quote, so trying to revert things to 1992 or whenever would seem to be defeating the purpose in a major way, unquote, he concluded. Quote, better, I think, to try to develop new status quos that future X-Men projects in film and television can draw from, unquote. Yeah, like that has really been working for you the last few years. The whole modern audiences argument, right? That sounds like what he's trying to justify. It's like, No, we have to actually write for modern audiences. How's that working for you? How's that working for you, Mr. Bravehort? As noted above, readers have long presumed that the quote unquote house of ideas now exists solely to pump out, quote, source material, unsmaller quote, for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, especially of just how much attention Phase 5 and 6 gave to the publisher's recent post Disney acquisition stories like Thor's fight against Gore the God Butcher, in parentheses here, as originally told in 2013's Thor God of Thunder Volume 1, and adapted in Thor Love and Thunder. Riri Williams' building of her own Iron Man armor, in parentheses here, 2015's Invisible Iron Man Volume 3, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Kamala Khan's awakening as an Inhuman, 2014's Ms. Marvel Volume 3, Ms. Marvel, over the 50 years of stories that preceded them. However, Braveheart's blog post serves as the first outright confirmation of the fact by someone directly connected to either entity. But the acknowledgement that they're just so creatively bankrupt that that they can't come up with any fresh ideas themselves, or they can't recognize what will actually bring fans back to their books, and actually maybe motivate fans to want to buy their books. While an admitted death rattle for the idea of mainstream comics as any sort of, in smaller quotes, creativity, creator first, on smaller quote, endeavor, this development is particularly worrying given the fact that Disney and Marvel Comics already go out of their way to avoid treating creators with the financial recognition they deserve. And that's unlikely to change even with creators working with the colloquial knowledge that their work will potentially pull in millions of dollars, ticket sales, licensing deals, and merchandising. Hence why some of these creators have gone out and started their own thing, like Chuck Dick, when, between such situations as Rocket Raccoon co-creator Bill Mantillo having to fight for his rightfully due profits from the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, Spider-Man 2099 creator Peter David being left to crowdfund his medical bills despite the blow-up success of Across the Spider-Verse, and Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld's recent disrespecting during development and premiere of Deadpool and Wolverine, history suggests that modern creators are being taken for an absolute ride just for the chance to live out their life dreams of working for one of the big two. Well, Liefeld, as we know, basically just said, enough of this baloney. I'm out of here. We covered that article the other day too. About a week ago. I think a week or a couple weeks ago. So, anyways, if you guys haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream. See if we get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and/or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Well, with that being said, of course, and a funny bit of coincidence, at the same time Braveheart made his post, the MCU was gearing up for its latest release, Captain America Brave New World. Now playing in theaters, the film is directly based on 2014's Captain America Volume 7, wherein The Earth 616 version of Sam Wilson is handed the mantle of the Star-Spangled Avenger after Steve Rogers' age catches up to him after he loses the super soldier formula. Oh, there we go. So there we go with that one. So now we're pretty much completed all the articles we're going to do tonight. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and move right into this, the wrestling wrap up. So with that being said, let's first talk about Ring of Honor here, as they actually taped something Saturday to be shown yesterday. Their Grand Slam event, their event from Australia. Let's see. Let me just go grab that real quick here. So, in conjunction with their parent company, of course, AEW, Ring of Honor had its Global Wars Australia event. They held it on Saturday. But they broadcast it on Ring of Honor Wrestling.com yesterday. So the opening match saw Bandito team with the Outrunners, Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum, to defeat the Learning Tree in a 6-man tag match, in which after the match, the Learning Tree tried to pounce on Bandito and Jericho, only for Powerhouse Hobbs to come out and make the save. Lee Moriarty successfully defended the Pure title against New Japan's Robbie Eagle, one half, of course, of the junior heavyweight tag team, and what turned out to be a very solid match. Mark Davis, in front of his hometown crowd, got a win over Tommy Knight in just over 5 minutes. The Sons of Texas, Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes, retained the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles over the M&M collection, only for Mansoor and Mason to steal Guevara's belt, run off with it. And the main event saw Athena retain the Ring of Honor Women's World title over Alex Windsor for that match. So that's all that happened on last night's or on yesterday's Global Wars. So now we're gonna go over to Monday Night Raw. We're going to get you caught up on what happened on last night Raw, and then move ahead to looking ahead to tonight's NXT matchup. So the opening match of last night's Raw saw AJ Styles defeat Dominic Mysterio, who had Carlito in his corner, representing the Judgment Day. In a number one contendership match for the Women's Intercontinental title, Dakota Kai defeated Ivy Nile. Now, there are some people criticizing that this match didn't necessarily need to happen, since Dakota Kai had actually been involved in the finals of the tournament. She was already due a return match for another shot at the Intercontinental title against Lyra Valkyrie. Penta defeated Pete Dunne in 10:40. In a women's qualifying match for the elimination, in what turned out to be what some people might even call a bit of an upset, Roxanne Perez defeated Raquel Rodriguez to earn a shot in the women's elimination chamber. And then in the main event of the evening, in the men's qualifying match for the elimination chamber, Seth Rollins defeated Finn Balor. So that all happened on last night's Monday Night Raw. So now, moving ahead to look ahead to tonight's NXT, as of course this is the first NXT coming off of the Vengeance Day pay-per-view from last Saturday. We talked about on tonight's episode of NXT already signed a number one contendership triple threat match for a triple threat match for the number one contendership for the women's North American title, as Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, and Carmen Petrovich will all take each other on to see who will be the next woman to challenge Stephanie Vaquer for the NXT Women's North American title. Sol Ruca and Zarya will be involved in a tag team match to take on the duo of Metaphor of Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend. And Sean Spears will be taking on Channing Lorenzo of the family, the D'Angelo family, as Lorenzo looks to get some revenge for the family on Sean Spears and his attack on Tony D'Angelo after D'Angelo's victory over Ridge Holland in their steel cage match for the North American title last week. So that's all I got for you guys in terms of the wrestling wrap up. So now what we'll do now, of course, I'm going to go ahead with today being Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. Let's go ahead and take a look back at this date in Nietzsche history. So 2010. All right. So first off, I'm going to head back 70 years ago. As on this date, 70 years ago today, back in 1955. The 60th issue of Wilbur Comics went on sale from Archie. 60th issue of Wilbur Comics from Archie went on sale on newsstands on this date back in 1955. Sold for 10 cents for 32 pages. So on this date, 70 years ago today, the 60th issue of Wilbur Comics from Archie Comics went on sale on this date back in 1955. Now moving ahead to 1985, 40 years ago today, on this date, 40 years ago today, the WWF, the World Wrestling Federation at the time, held the second event held the War to Settle the Score event from Madison Square Garden on this date back in 1985. In the main event of the show, saw Hulk Hogan with Captain Lou Albano and Cyndi Lauper in his corner defeat Roddy Piper via DQ to retain the WWE. Now, this was, of course, the show that followed the brawl. This was the War to Settle the Score. So this is the follow-up to. This is a follow-up to the Brawl to End It All. The Brawl to End It All. This event was part of, of course, the Rock and Wrestling storyline and the build-up for the original WrestleMania as well. So, other matches on the card included Mike Rotunda and Barry Windham, the U.S. Express, defeating the Assassin and Spoiler to retain the WWF World Tag Team titles. Alani Kai, with Fellas Moolah in her corner, defeated Wendy Richter to become the new WWF Women's Champion. The Moondog Spot and Rick McGraw went to a time limit draw. And the show opened up with Johnny Rodz defeating Jose Luis Rivera on the show, among other key matches. So, anyway, so that all happened 40 years ago today. Now moving ahead to the year 2000, which was 25 years ago today. On this date, 25 years ago today. On this date, the Indian American animated movie from Fabra Cinema's Sinbad Beyond the Veils of Mist, which was a 2000 Indian American animated film, premiered in movie theaters on this date back in 2000. It is the first feature-length computer animation film created exclusively using motion capture. So on this date in the year 2025 years ago today, the Indian American animated film Sinbad Beyond the Veil of Mist premiered in movie theaters. And when they say Indian here, they mean as in in Southeast Asia, India, as in the Taj Mahal kind of thing. So, and finally, moving ahead to 2010. On this date in 2010, premiering at Berlinale, I guess. On this date in 2010, Welcome to the Space Show, produced 2010 Japanese anime science fiction film, produced by A1 Pictures and distributed by Aniplex, premiered in Japanese theaters on this date back in 2010. So 15 years ago today, Welcome to the Space Show premiered in Japanese theaters on this date 10 years ago today. So with that, I do thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Of course, we'll be back here with more niche news tomorrow. Also, of course, this Sunday of Apex from Apex Comics joining me, as we will be looking at comics that went on sale in April of 1940. This week we'll be focusing in on Street and Smith and United Features. We'll be reading from Shadow Comics Volume 1, Issue 4. Such features including The Shadow, Street and Smith's version of Iron Monroe, Bill Barnes, and Carrie Cashin. So with that, I do thank everybody for being here. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. You can always catch this on replay as I do. I do keep these up usually. So if you want to go back and you missed any of the stories in the show, you want to go back and get the feel free to do so. As always, if you guys can always help out by liking and sharing the stream, let's see if we can get some more people to engage in the content. That would really be helpful. So with that, I thank you guys for being here tonight, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.